Hello and welcome to Revolution Radio. You have Tanya and...
Really just doing it again. Jay. did I just discuss? I was like, oh, I hate when you do that.
I have no idea. I don't really listen to you when you talk. Like, it's
Maybe
always a
you should.
constant in my head from you. And I don't know
It
why.
just but it comes off like that old like '90s like cheesy answering machine. You're like, this is Bob and this is Jill. Like, just you
Anyway,
can just.
so today is Monday, July 22nd, and I am so excited for today. We have a really special guest. Well, special to me. I don't know how Jay feels about it, but he's, stuck in the 90s apparently. Dick.
I'm not the one who has an intro like that. No, I would say talented. I think creative.
Yes, I would say so. And it is Steve Alten, and he has written several books about the Megalodon shark. In fact, it's the Meg series, and he's also helped, or due to his books, the movie Meg has come out, in the last 2 years? I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Is it the actual Megalodon shark, though?
It is a Megalodon shark, yeah.
Is it the... Okay. I heard him talking about it. I thought he used a different name, but...
Casherodon Megalodon?
Something like that. Yeah, it like had a really long-ass name.
I think that's the scientific name. We'll have to ask him.
We need to ask him if The Rock is going to be in one of his movies, too, because... Let's be honest.
Does it
Anything The Rock is in is awesome.
Well, I mean, it would help, round out The Rock's career. There's cars, there's gorillas, skyscrapers, earthquakes, natural disasters.
Oh, can you imagine the rampage creatures against the Meg, right, but not done yet, in the area of the island of Jurassic Park?
That just sounds like some kind of sci-fi movie that's going to end up going straight to TV.
Oh, by the way, with Godzilla showing up.
With Godzilla. Okay.
Tell me that's not an awesome movie.
Who hurt you? I want to
know. Especially if, Hollywood got off its ass and spent a good amount of money on it, a lot of money on it. That could be so sweet.
I worry about you. I really do.
But is not one of the coolest parts of the new Jurassic Park movie? Well, maybe not the new one. The one right before this one, the one where that giant sea creature just comes out and kills that prototype dinosaur. Isn't that awesome?
Indominus Rex.
How do you remember the names of the shit? But yes, yeah, that one.
I have a thing for archaeology and paleontology, and I really can't believe I just admitted to that. It's kind of interesting.
But Indominus Rex was either one. It was a made-up dinosaur. I figured you were just really into old things. That's why you're into the producer,
You're a dick.
I'm testing him. I'm going to see how much he listens.
Wow.
I'll get a message in a week, and he'll be like, "Hey, asshole," and I'll be like, "What's that about?" I completely forgot I did that.
Did you know, and this is completely off topic, and I feel like you are going to appreciate it, and I really wish Cody was here because he would have appreciated it. We had talked about my...
By the way, no one has ever said that.
What?
I just said I would clarify that no one has ever said I wish Cody was here.
There's a first time for everything, okay? I was trying to be nice to him. But, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, we had said something. Well, it was Cody, apparently, that said it, because somebody questioned it, that I was having an affair with the producer. And apparently, this person was concerned that since we said it on air, that wouldn't wouldn't my husband know about my affair that way?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which, for one, is dumb because it could be a bit.
it could be.
I mean, who knows? We make jokes about Cody all the time and what he does.
And his girlfriend's chandelier.
Right. I mean,
No,
some of
I
it is
did.
just, a lot of it is just bits.
It really cracked me up, and I was just like, you're right, I should stop talking about the producer that way.
You
So
really
to
should,
my
though. I mean,
husband,
because
I'm
if nothing
sorry.
else, it is sexual harassment.
It is harassment. You're not
And
wrong.
we're going to have enough problems with that anyway.
I'm surprised I haven't been, like, formally anything. Do you know what I mean? Nobody's said anything.
No, and you really should. Like,
Human Resources will be sending out a letter soon.
if I was in charge of HR, like, and I'm against most of that stuff, like the Louis stuff, the Aziz stuff, like, a lot of that I think is just taken too far. Right now in the news is the Al Franken thing, and I think that was really blown out of proportion. But yours are legit. Like, I'm there, and I see it, and I feel uncomfortable, and I'm not even a part of it. Just as a bystander, I'm like, oh, God. I would never say that to a woman. Now, I mean, look, and for the listeners, I want to be, and this is 100%, this isn't a bit, this really happened. And this is who you're dealing with, though. So, I own a business, and we do from time to time, we get packages in. Tanya happened to be at my business, and she was leaving as the FedEx guy came in.
I forgot that happened, yeah.
He gave me this look, or gave her a look, and then looked at me, and he was like, do you know her? And I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, I've known her since I was like 5. And he was like, oh, no, she's fine. He's like, but she's a spark plug, isn't she? And I was like, you could say that. And I was like, what? Why are you asking? Or why you say that? And he was like, well, I was delivering a package like a week or two by her house, and she just opened up her front door and yelled out at me, hey, sexy, what's up? Yeah, that's Tanya. It's not a bit, it's not a character.
Me.
She did that in real life, not knowing anyone would ever hear about it or say anything about it.
Well, and now I'm really questioning our FedEx guy. Like, is there only one FedEx guy where we live? He was looking really
like,
good
that dude
day.
Works his ass off.
I still can't believe he
pay
did
attention
that.
too. Like, it's always that guy.
I do. I really pay attention. I think that was the problem.
Yeah, apparently.
Some guys are just so sensitive.
Yeah. I would say, like, people say, hey, don't do that kind of thing because it could lead to something bad. But I mean, you're still alive at 58 years old, so you've had no problems.
The station hasn't been sued yet. We're good.
Yeah, I mean, if you're worth some money, that might be a problem. But luckily, you're not like that wealthy yet, so you don't have to worry about that. The show,
to keep most of our profits in gold buried under a tree in your backyard.
Hopefully not my backyard.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, because it's not mine.
You're so
Yeah, I rent. You know, I'm only going to be here for a little bit longer.
Okay, so right now, let's get Steve on air and let's take a quick break. What do you think, Jay?
Sounds good.
Hello, and welcome back to Revolution Radio. And with us right now is the Mr. Steve Alten. Now, Mr. Alten, you have become known as the Megalodon Shark Man, right?
In a matter of speaking, I suppose.
Do you want to be known as the Megalodon Man, or is there something, or do you prefer as just an author?
Well, I'm known for the Meg series, but I do write other things as well. So I just like to be known as a fictional thriller writer. But with the popularity of the Meg, it's not a bad thing either.
That we actually, those of us here at Revolution Radio, between the 7 of us in the studio at times, we have every single novel you've written except for How to Train the American Husband. The American.
Adult Training for the American Male.
Yes, that's the only one we don't have yet.
Well, email me and I'll send you a bunch of them. We've got tons of them.
Oh, do you really? So,
Yes.
because that's the only one none of us have read. Tell us about that one, because we don't know anything about it, and it sounds hilarious.
Well, that's written under a pen name L.A. Knight, Knight, and the story surrounds Dr. Nancy Beach, who is a relationship counselor and a talk show guru, whose talk show numbers are on the fritz because her relationship are always on the fritz. So she can't seem to keep her man, and she meets a new guy, and they end up moving in about 3 months later. And she has a lot of problems with him, and he brings home a dog from a pound, a big German Shepherd, which I have one beside me right now. And that's your cue, Bella. Come here. And she doesn't want the dog, but she realizes that the dog training techniques may actually help her boyfriend. So she sets about to secretly train her boyfriend using dog training techniques.
Really? Well, that's one way to train. I wish I had thought about that with my husband. Huh. And we have Chihuahuas, so it's probably easier for a German Shepherd instead of Chihuahuas.
Well, the story originated when my wife and I got into a little spat years ago, and at that she was sort of yelling at me a little bit, and at that moment the dog happened to cross her path and pissed her off a little bit, and she yelled at the dog and gave it commands, and the dog listened to exactly what she said. And I realized, well, how is it that the dog understood what she's saying, but I can't fathom what my wife is saying? So that sort of led me to the story.
Very interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, that makes sense to me. And when I took a poll, all of us have decided my favorite book from you is Goliath, and the guys all prefer Phobos.
Okay, those are two interesting selections.
Right?
Phobos is the third in the Mayan series, but there's a lot of action in it. And Goliath is a story about a nuclear submarine that is commanded by a supercomputer that sort of becomes cognizant of itself. And it's learning from the people who've hijacked it. So a group of terrorists.
Yeah, I loved the book. I thought it was amazing. And that brings up one of the first questions and a question of mine. A lot of your fans are curious, how much time do you spend studying on the science and the technology stuff? Because a lot of your stories are very technological.
I do spend a lot of time. I could probably write a lot more books if I didn't spend so much time with the details, but it's the details that give me the ideas to branch out into the story. It sort of provides the flesh coating to it, and I think that makes the story more interesting when you read something and it's fascinating and you're not sure if it's real or not. So you sit there with your iPhone and Google it and find out, wow, that's really true.
Okay, that's great. Well, yeah, and I know we are personally impressed. There's so much technology that it's hard to tell sometimes that it's actually a fictional story. And I think that's why your books are becoming so popular, and not just the Megalodon series, because you have so much technology and backstory in there.
Yeah, I think one of my more recent novels, Undisclosed, which deals with the true story about UFOs and extraterrestrials, and sort of advances it from there. I think that one probably has more faction in it than any book. I say faction, not fiction, fact mixed with fiction, than any novel that I've attempted.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know I was personally impressed with Goliath, and out of all of them, I could not understand, and it was all the guys in the studio, Phobos. The third book, not any of the others, but the third book. I don't know, they're weird. Another
Phobos has some pretty interesting stuff in it. A lot of action because there are literally ticking time bombs on this planet that could lead to a doomsday effect, and all of them are mentioned. All of them were written about and detailed in Phobos. So they all sort of happened. These three major events. The third one actually eliminating the Earth from existence.
That could be why they like it so much. That could be. I never know with some of the guys here at the studio. We were looking on.
They may also like Dog Training the American Male, so give them a shot at that too.
I think we should. We're gonna have to get that book here in the studio. We really do. So here lately, we've seen a lot about Lock 2. Can you give us some more information on what you're doing with Lock 2?
Well, technically, it's actually the third book in the Lock series. The second one being Vostok. We should have renamed the book The Lock Vostok, but didn't have that opportunity. But you know, that's what happens sometimes. But The Lock Heavenly Lake is the book Heaven's Lake is the book I'm working on right now. It's actually the third in the series. And it sort of goes back to the original more, focusing on Zachary Wallace and his friend True and his love interest Brandy and Heaven's Lake is a lake in a glacier lake, sitting in a crater from an old volcano in northeast China, and the lake actually borders North Korea and China. So it offers some interesting challenges that way too.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know two of the helpers here. They've recently started Lock and Vostok, and they are really enjoying them. So they wanted to make sure that I asked that question about Lock 2. We have another question from a listener. How many high schools take part in your Adopt an Author program? And is that really open for all high schools?
It's open for all middle schools and high schools, grades 8 through 12, sometimes 7th grade for advanced students. And it's a free program, and we've probably registered over 10,000 teachers. I can't say how many are actively using the program because you get people that retire every year and some people don't continue to use it. But most of the teachers who use the program the first time will continue to use it in their curriculum until they retire as a teacher because it's so effective. The challenge for us is to get them to try it in the first place. But essentially, that program started because when Meg originally came out in 1997, I became inundated with email from students, teenagers who were all telling me the same thing, that they hate reading, but they love reading Meg. And a lot of them said Meg is the first book they actually finished on their own. And then a short while after that, I started getting a wave of teachers who were emailing me, telling me that they were using the book in their classroom. And the results were, unheard of, that students were looking forward to reading. They were actually reading ahead of the curriculum. And the final straw with that was that I found out that Meg had been named the #1 book for reluctant readers by the Young Adult Library Services Association. And my background's in education. I have a bachelor's, master's, and doctorate in education. I'm certified to teach in high school. And I realized something important was happening, and I needed to become a part of it. So we started a 501(c) nonprofit program called Adopt an Author. And basically, we pulled all the teachers' information together. We pulled the curriculum materials. We developed some of our own. We offered free posters, tests, quizzes, projects. And the thing that sort of separated it from other programs was direct contact with the authors. Myself and a group of other authors had contributed books as well. But Meg and The Lock actually are the most popular books in the program. And so for teachers, they have an opportunity to use books that are going to hook their students into reading. At the same time, they can contact the author directly via email or a classroom conference call or Skype like we're doing now. The program is completely free. We pay for everything. And it has really made a big difference in a lot of high schools.
That is fantastic. I know our area high schools and the area middle schools here were really fascinated to hear and listen in on our interview because they are interested in your Adopt an Author program. So I really hope that this helps push them to do that. because that is a great program.
And all they have to do, all they have to do is go to www.adoptanauthor.com, all one word, and there'll be a link for them to register their information, and we'll begin sending them stuff and posters and curriculum material, so they have access to everything. It's all on the website. And when they want to get me involved in the program, as far as, after the unit's done, if they want to do a live Q&A or whatever they might have in mind, there's instructions on how to contact me directly, and we set it up. No charge.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go, teachers that are listening right now. That's how you do it, straight from the man himself. Now, as we were looking into it, you also do stuff. Do you guys do that, something similar with the military? Some of our guys that listen, especially, we have over 180 people sent to Kuwait and Africa this year that listen to our station online all the time. Do you have a similar program for the military too?
Not as much of a formal program as it is that I just appreciate the military guys so much that we just send them free books. And if they give us an APO address or a place that we can send the books to, we've sent thousands of books over the years, and I've actually got a warehouse filled with books right now that it would help, excuse me, actually help me to get rid of a lot of them. Never eat a salt pretzel before you do an interview. It's an old Philadelphia habit. But I love getting email from guys in the military and gals in the military, and they send pictures holding the books, and we post them on our website. So it's just a fun thing to do and to support it. A group of people who are, sacrificing so much.
Well, yeah, no, we now have at least 82 members listening now that has jumped. So yeah, there you go, guys, especially to the one unit that has our loving Jake Gady in it. Just go ahead and message Steve Alten about it. I think that's a great program. I know a lot of times they appreciate those books, and we love our men in the military here. They're always sending us not always appropriate pictures and messages, but they keep us going on the radio. So we do appreciate them. So yeah, no, I think that's great that you do that. And especially for the high schoolers too.
The best way for them to contact me is to go to my website, stevealten.com, ALTEN.com. And there's a link there for my personal email, and they can just pop me an email and tell me where to send the books out, and I'll send them out.
Okay, well, now we have a new question from one of our teachers here in the area. You used to teach in high school? Was it high school you taught?
I'm certified to teach and coach in high school, in secondary school. I have a bachelor's, master's, and a doctorate in teaching. I did teach in school while I was doing my student teaching for my bachelor's degree, but I haven't taught in school since then.
There you go, Megan. He answered for you, honey. And from Zach Dillon. Do you like basketball? And who's your favorite team?
I like basketball. Well, I played in high school and college. I took it and tried to coach in college for a little bit, and worked unofficially under the tutelage of Hall of Fame basketball coach John Chaney at Temple University while I was getting my doctorate degree. So I do love basketball. I took it as far as a slow-weight Jewish guy could take it. And my favorite team is the 76ers.
There you go, Zachary. I hope that makes you happy. Alrighty, now for the Megalodon questions, because apparently I'm not asking enough about Megalodon. From one of our listeners, it took quite a while for the Meg movie to actually come out. Are you happy with the end result? Because he is. He's happy, and he hopes you're happy too.
I'm definitely happy. It's going through a lot of trials and tribulations. It took 23 years. We actually had a movie deal with Hollywood Pictures before we had a book deal. And that was in 1996. And Hollywood Pictures went through a lot of changes. I did not like their scripts at all. And when the president of Hollywood Pictures was fired 2 years after we signed with them, the rights reverted back to me. It wasn't until 2005 that I was able to take them back out again using a script of my own. We had the producers of Hellboy that were interested in running with it. A friend of mine, Nick Nunziata, is friends with them, and so he introduced the book to them. And so we had a deal with New Line Cinema for a couple of years, but they went in another direction completely. And fortunately, that script was not greenlit. We got the rights back again, and I optioned them to a friend of mine, producer Belle Avery, whose forte was raising money for projects independently. And Belle worked her butt off for 8 years and was able to get the movie completely independently financed. She brought aboard Gravity Pictures in China, which did a tremendous job. And then they took that whole package and took it to Warner Brothers to see if they would do distribution. Warner Brothers not only wanted to distribute the movie, they wanted to be part of it too. So that's how the movie finally was made. I do want to say one thing about the movie. It follows the book about 70%, but the next story, The Trench, the one that they're preparing a script for now, is a much darker tale. So the object with the first movie was to make it more family oriented, to bring in a wider audience, and then with the second movie to really hone it down to a lot more blood, a lot darker, a lot more tension. And so I think my Meg heads out there will like the second one even more than the first one.
Okay, from the listeners, will it have the Chronosaurs, and will they be eating as many people in the movie as they did the book?
They didn't eat that many people because when a Chronosaur attacks you in the sub, your sub sort of implodes. But I expect that they'll be there, yes. And there'll be a few other things that were left out in the first movie that will be there that I think my readers will really enjoy, but I can't talk about right now.
Oh, you're leaving mysteries out there. Okay. Well, there you go, guys. From one of the fans on your Steve Alten page, you have recently been diagnosed. Are you and you said you are treating yourself holistically. I have stage 4 cancer, and I've been treating myself for 10 months holistically. Do you feel like it's better?
No, time out. I don't have cancer, thank God. I do have Parkinson's.
Well, no, this woman does have cancer, and she thinks that holistically is better. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, you are fine. She wants to know if you feel the holistic alternative is better or worse, because she thinks it's better.
Excuse me 1 second here. Hi, honey. I'm on an interview. I asked you not to call from 6:30 to 7. Well, now you can say hello to everyone. Say hi to my wife, Kim.
Hi, Kim.
I'll call you later.
That happens to everyone.
Got to have a little comedy thrown in there, too. It's a dangerous thing I'm not a doctor, so I can't. For me to answer holistically or through modern medicine is not the responsible thing to do. What I mentioned was that I know of a scientist who has developed an alternative method for treating cancer that has been very effective, and I'm happy to forward that information and let the person decide themselves. So if they email me at meg82159@aol.com, that email is again on my website, stevealten.com. I'm happy to send them some information, but it's not for me to judge what course of action they should be doing.
There you go. A lot of your fans seem to be really following you and into you with some of these questions. My goodness. Do you appreciate your big fan base? Because you seem very personable and you're willing to give out your information like that.
Well, I love my fans. I have the best fans in the world as far as I'm concerned. They're not the biggest group right now. I hope that to expand their numbers and get them bigger. There's about 13,000 very loyal fans on Facebook, and it's like a bad deja vu.
Call from 12067777193.
Always unplug your phone before you do interviews too on Skype. So I'll take care of that right now. My apologies.
You are quite all right.
No, back to my fans. I mean, the most intense fans of the Megheads. They've been unbelievably supportive, and I think one of the reasons has been is because I'm very appreciative of my fans. If they email me, they will get a personal email back. I have never missed an email return reply in 23 years, and I don't plan to in the future. It's just I just feel that if they're willing to buy my book and spend the money and time reading it, they deserve a little extra from me, and know that I appreciate them. And plus, I put out monthly newsletters with offering a lot of different things. We also have contests to become for readers to become characters in my books, and that's been a lot of fun over the years too. They send me their information if they're one of the top people in the contest, and it's fun for me to incorporate them into the story. And I'm in the process of doing that with the Loch Heaven's Lake as well.
So you've actually done contests where you put your fans in your book?
But yeah, we just had a contest for Heaven's Lake, which ended on July 15th. We added another 10 more readers as 5 minor, 5 major characters to enter. All they had to do is pre-order the book, and I put their names in a fishbowl and drew them out, and I've already written about 4 or 5 of them into the story. So
That is amazing. You don't hear many authors or people doing that. That is fantastic. No wonder your fans love you.
well, it's actually easier for me because they give me all these wonderful details in their biography, and I actually write it into the story if it fits. I'm writing one scene where I'm putting together an American team that's going to Heaven's Lake to find out what this monster is. And the 4 members of the American team were all people who had won the contest a couple days earlier. And one of them was a photographer, a professional wildlife photographer. Another was a scientist. Another was a laboratory researcher. And their actual positions fit perfectly into the story. So I just used everything that they sent me and made him a character.
Wow. Well, there you go, guys. You should have entered the contest. I don't know what to tell you. That is amazing. I think that is fantastic that you do that. And I love how personable you are really with you answer every email, really?
Everyone.
Oh, we need to pump up your fan base because you're kind of an amazing guy for doing that. Not very many people do that.
I'll tell you, I'll bring up one. Back in 1998, when after Meg had come out, I received not an email, but a mail letter from somebody. It was just the nastiest, harshest letter I'd ever written, criticizing me and my writing, research, and things like that. And I wrote him back, and I said, because it was a really well-written, nasty letter.
Nice.
Great prose in there, and I emailed him back, and I said, I try to explain my point of view on certain things that he disagreed with, and I said, it's a shame you're so hostile, because I think you would make a good editor, and I think you sound like somebody who wants to be an author yourself, and I'd rather you take it out on me than beat your wife or whatever you might want to do alternatively to blow off the steam. So he emailed me back, and he was very apologetic. He said he did want to be an author. He's been struggling to get a publishing deal, and I hired him as an editor, and he's actually the one who came up with the name Angel for the Megalodon pup from the first Meg book. So really? I give him all the credit, and I actually acknowledge him in the beginning of The Trench.
That is amazing. Wow. But I mean, who else would be a better editor than somebody who was not really a fan to begin with? Wow. That is crazy. How many, because it's hard to tell on your website. Do you have the same publisher you did when you first started?
No, I've been sort of a free agent. I started off with Bantam Doubleday, and then they went through some changes there, and The Trench, my second book, was optioned to Kensington. My third book, Domain, the Domain series, and Goliath, and Meg Primal Waters was optioned by Tor Forge, and they've been mostly my publisher over the years. But then The Lock was originally done by an independent publishing house, and the Shell Game was as well. Nobody wanted to touch the Shell Game; it was too controversial. This was back in 2008 when Bush was still in office, so
Oh, okay.
2007, and so nobody wanted to touch that one. So I had to go to a Mormon publishing house that had never had a book released in a Barnes & Noble or Borders before.
Oh, wow.
And Shell Game, I'm very proud of that because that went on to become a New York Times bestseller despite all of the odds against it. And so over the years, I've dabbled in independent publishing houses, and I'm back at Tor with some books as well. And I opened my own publishing house with some partners, A&M Publishing, and that has allowed me to put out collector's editions, hardbacks, for Meg Generations, and coming up, The Lock, Heaven's Lake. And what I do is I pre-sell the book to my readers so that I know exactly how many we have to print so we don't lose money that way. And in exchange, they get a book that is only one of maybe 3,000 or 4,000 that have ever been printed. I usually sign them as well. And we did that with Meg Generations. You cannot get a hardback of this book. Even though we optioned it to Tor, they're not doing a hardback. They're doing a trade paperback in a year. So the people who had the intelligence, I'll say, to purchase a book, and many of these books, when they were available, are now selling them for $75 to $150 a piece and making good money.
Oh, wow.
So we're doing the same. You can't get this anymore. I think we only printed 4,400 copies. And we're doing the same thing with The Lock, Heaven's Lake. So if you want to get a book that's going to be more valuable than what you paid for it, stop by stevealten.com and place your order while they're still available.
What's interesting is there's 3 of us here at the studio who have that book in your hand. So 3 of those 4,400 came to our studio.
Good for you guys. Good for you.
Okay, another fan question. If you could have any of your books turned into a movie other than Meg, which book do you want to be seen next as a movie?
Well, I think it will be The Lock, and it's one I definitely want to see. That's the one that looks like it's going to come up next to go into production. I'd love to see the Omega Project. I think that's a wild story that not many people have read, but it really is one of the best books I've written. I wrote a script for Dog Training the American Mail as well, and I think that will make a great movie. So we'll be taking that script out shopping in a couple weeks. And but I'd like to see. I mean, I really like to see all my books turned into movies, simply because they're very dramatic and very cinematic. A lot of action. So I always try to write visually and see the movie as it's playing out in my head.
There you guys go. They just keep sending these questions in. It's hard to keep track. Okay, well, this one is weird. Do you know who Max Hawthorne is, and how do you feel about him? I'm assuming that's
the name is very
Meghead.
familiar. Is that one of my readers?
No, they said that he wrote a book. He is the Prince of Paleo, is what they're saying online. Is there another author out there, I wonder?
I have not read his work, so I can't really comment on that.
Well, there you go. He does not... That's crazy. We'll have to look him up, too. I wonder if that's going on there. Apparently, Max Hawthorne says hi.
Okay. Hi, Max.
Okay, next question, guys. How many Locke books do you want to have in the series because you have so many Meg books?
I don't think in terms of how many is. I think in terms of story. And if a story comes to me that I really think will make a great book, that's going to weigh more than how many books are already out in the series. And that goes for Meg, too. I mean, I have one more planned. I had planned to end the series with Generations and came up with a new ending for Meg Purgatory that I really liked. But if something happens where I come across a new angle that hasn't been done before in the Meg series, there may be an eighth one. You never know.
How much freedom are you allowed? And do you get to help with the screen writing for the Meg movie or the Meg movie 2?
How much freedom am I allowed? You mean in general or just with the
Yeah,
movie?
in general, I think is
They
what
let
I
me
was-
leave the house every once in a while, and I go to the gym, and that's about all I'm allowed at this point.
Okay.
But um, you know, when as an author, when you sign unless your name is J.K. Rowling or Stephen King, if you sign your rights over to producer, they don't have to incorporate you as far as anything is concerned. I wish they would. I've written a bunch of thoughts about how I think the next book should go turn into a movie script, and I think they read those things and take them seriously. But as far as my involvement in the movies themselves, I'm not involved.
Okay, there you guys go.
I'd like to be, and I'm open to it, but we've got a pretty good team, and Belle Avery is my friend, and I trust her 100%, and I know she'll only do what's good for the movie.
I think it's strange that they do that. You were the author of the original book. I guess I'm just surprised they don't take more of the author's thoughts and processes when they make the screens.
You would think that it seems like common sense, but maybe some authors have given them a lot of problems over the years. I don't know. I mean, sometimes there's a clash. I've always been very supportive of Warner Brothers' team and Gravity's producers and Bell.
Well, yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. Hopefully one day you'll be as famous as Stephen King and then you can just direct your own movie.
I don't need to be as famous as him. I'd like to have his money, though. I'm struggling for a long time, and sometimes it's feast or famine.
This is from from a teacher. What can you tell someone who's been wanting to write? We have tons of future writers in my honors English class, and what kind of inspiration could you give them for wanting to be a writer?
Well, I'll tell you what. If you go to my website, stevealten.com, and you click on writing tips, there's a video there that I think will be more than what you're looking for. It's me on video explaining how I develop a story, where ideas for stories come from, how to lay it out, and create a beat sheet and then a treatment and then write the story itself. So everything from A to Z is all listed there. Rather than me try to repeat that, just click on the video and watch it.
Okay. And another quick question we have here is, knowing that you've been more of an author, are you still happy being an author, or would you want to be a full-time teacher, or what would you really like to do?
Well, I'm doing what I like to do. I wish that I didn't have to delve into other things besides write. If I did it every day is write, I'd be a happy camper. But there's the business aspect of things and headaches along the way and things that I have to do. But no, I love writing, and that's if all I was ever was an author, I'd be pretty satisfied.
There you guys go. That was.
I'd like to be a #1 best-selling author. The highest I got on the list was number 19. But actually, overseas, an interesting story. Domain was published by Tor Forge. The Mind trilogy in English is Domain, Resurrection, and Phobos, Mind, Fear. Not a lot of publicity was put into the book. So years later, when my manager, Danny Barr, got a request to sell the book in Spain, and they changed the name of the title to El Testamente Maya, and it became #1, a runaway hit in Spain, and then a runaway hit in Mexico and Argentina. It was #1 in all three of those countries, and actually it was my biggest seller overall, even bigger than Meg.
Oh,
So
wow.
sometimes just change the title and make a couple tweaks here and there, and you never know what's going to happen.
That is crazy. Well, I mean, it's amazing that they were number one. Wow, look at that. Okay, well, listeners, that was Steve Alten. And Steve, we'd like to thank you for coming on and doing a quick question and answers with us.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
And that was a quick question and answer session with the Steve Alten. And go ahead, listeners, get on his website, stevealten.com. You will find so much information. There's links to his Adopt an Author program. There's links for the military. I hope you guys take advantage of that. We will be setting up another interview. He is a great guy. Who knew somebody as famous as he is becoming, it could be so charming and personable. And I can't wait. I know those of us here at the studio love the book The Lock and Vostok, and we're so excited for The Lock 2 to come out. Sadly, though, during our interview and as we were getting stuff set up, you guys might have noticed, Jay disappeared. And it's looking like I'm going to be disappearing too. Our area has been experiencing this extreme heat wave. We've been having so many issues lately that apparently nobody told our electric and energy company that we had important interviews and radio to do. And they are cutting people off, and sadly Jay was the first to go. Luckily, those of us here at the station have not been cut off, but knowing they are outside and there's lights flashing, I'm really beginning to wonder if we're going to lose all our power here at the station. So from those of us here at Revolution Radio, we thank you. I am Tanya Buentello. You can find me on Facebook. You can add me questions, comments, concerns. Let me know if you have ideas. Once again, you guys suggested Steve Alten. You know, the last couple of weeks, all I've done is talk about how much I love him and how wonderful I think he is, and he should probably get a restraining order against me. I know Cody has said the same thing. We were so excited, but these were your ideas, and these are your questions, and we do appreciate it. You can find Jay Dillon, JayDylan, on Facebook, Twitter, and somewhat on Instagram. He's not very smart about it. We will be coming back to you live on Wednesday. I think we have the James Thompson calling in. We'll be talking about his latest thoughts and ideas about his political stance, and hopefully we'll just get an update on his personal being. Those of us here, you know how much we love Mr. Thompson, and we're hoping he's doing okay. So we will see you later. Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio.